One can tell the difference between a genuine and a hoaxed circle simply by looking for the zetas. Hoaxed circles have obvious characteristics. And I quote from Zeta Talk, Crop Circle Hoaxes, written September 2001. Crop circle hoaxes appeared early in the game, when the populace became aware of legitimate crop circles and entranced by them. Hoaxes were led at first by the CIA as an arm of MJ-12 and nervous government heads, particularly during the Reagan-Thatcher era. England was a choice location for legitimate circles, as the populace is intelligent and given to puzzle solving, and publicized their circles well and with great pride. The early hoaxes were simply bumpkins announcing they had laid them with boards, and demonstrating this. This took time, did not bend without breaking the grain, did not make perfect geometry, and left footprints all over the area, but the media was instructed to give these bumpkins credit, and being run basically by the establishment or friends of the establishment, they did as instructed. In 2001, a new brand of hoax appeared, which was quickly recognized for what it was. Not given the major media coverage that the early hoaxes were granted, these were left to be examined by talk shows and the public, who quickly recognized the crude and unfamiliar characteristics. Where legitimate circles have perfect geometry, are laid down almost instantaneously and without footprints, and leave the grain bent and growing, these lacked all of these characteristics. More particularly, they were designed, rather obviously, to be understandable to the public, with recognizable features and symbols: the face on Mars, data sheets, and automobiles. More grain was trammeled than left standing, a technique to cover footprints and any geometry imprecise. End of the quote from Zeta Talk. Countering the hoaxers and their backers have been honest admissions from other governments that circles are not man-made. And I quote from Reuters, July 13, 2001, Russian crop circles show aliens returned. Russian officials said on Friday that strange circles found in a remote southern field showed aliens had returned to collect Earth soil 4 years after their first dropping by, TASS news agency reported. The 5 concentric circles of wheat, flattened in a clockwise direction, were discovered in a field. The ears of wheat were undamaged. TASS said similar circles had appeared 4 years ago. Officials of the region's Emergency Situations Department say this suggests the beings had come back for more soil samples. End of the quote from Reuters. The circle makers themselves also countered the disinformation, almost as though they knew a hoax was about to be generated and countered it ahead of time. On August 28, 2001, a hoax called the Arecibo Reply Formation appeared. Small in size and with grain crushed crudely into square formations, it was clearly man-made. But because it replicated a digital graphic sent out into space by SETI in 1974, it got massive media attention. And I quote from CircleMakers.org, slow on the uptake, the mainstream media are now starting to show interest in the Arecibo Reply Formation. In the U.S., Linda Howe appeared on the O'Reilly Factor on the Fox News Network. End of the quote. Yes, Fox News could be expected to back the establishment hoax, but on August 13, 2001, the Milk Hill Formation, a massive swirl composed of 6 arms and including 300 individual circles, geometrically perfect, appeared during a year when hoaxes were emerging en force, as though to say, compare these hoaxes to this. Note the Milk Hill Formation appeared on August 13th, 2 weeks ahead of the August 28th Arecibo Reply hoax. And I quote from BBC News, if you work it out, it's not dark for that many hours in summer, and this consists of about 300 separate circles. There must have been a circle made every 30 seconds. It would have taken an army to do that, and there's no way an army could have gone undetected. End of the quote from BBC. And I quote from the CircleMakers.org site. Awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping, mind-warping, incomprehensible, bloody huge, are a few phrases that come to mind when viewing this year's finale formation, which was discovered on top of Milk Hill in Wiltshire above the White Horse on 13th August. It's difficult to take on board the sheer scale and complexity of this formation. It spans 10 tram lines, and if you walked from one side of the formation to the other, you would have covered approaching 1,500 feet. Compare that to the average diameter of formations this year, which is approximately 200 feet. There are over 400 circles incorporated into the design, a record amount dwarfing all previous formation. The formation has already been variously described as utterly awesome by American radio talk show host Jeff Rentz, as the greatest formation to form in the entire world by crop circle researcher Stuart Dyke, as the mother and father of all crop circles by crop circle researcher Charles Malik, as the pinnacle, the very epitome of perfection, the paragon of all circles by Mark Fussell from the Crop Circle Connector website, who goes on to say there are not enough words in the English vocabulary to describe how amazing this crop circle is. Everyone is saying this feat is beyond human ability. If this formation was man-made, allowing for time to get into and out of the field under cover of darkness, the construction time left should be around 4 hours. Given that there are over 400 circles, some of which span 70 feet in diameter, that would mean that one of those circles would need to be created every 30 seconds. And that's not even allowing any time for the surveying, purely flattening. This formation pushes the envelope, and that's a massive understatement. End of the quote from CircleMakers.org. Hoaxing continued to this day. The same characteristics shown in the 2001 spate repeated in 2004, for instance. And I quote from Zeta Talk, Hoaxes, written August 2004. Characteristic of the recent hoaxes, all of which have appeared in Wiltshire County in the UK, is their preference for straight rather than curved lines and inclusion of mazes. No legitimate diagrams to date have included a maze, anathema to the intent of the circle makers, which seek to educate, not confuse, mankind. Yet hoaxes almost prefer them, as a maze has straight lines. Hoaxes also tend to be small in size, or in locations distant from public view. Hoaxes lack the characteristic of legitimate circles, which are crop bent at the growth nodes, not broken, and crop laid in different directions, overlaying each other, and precision in line and curve. What is to be learned from the hoax circles? They take the symbolism of legitimate circles and distort them, not unlike the disinformation distortion given to our words. Legitimate circles do not include faces, as in a prior year hoax of the face of the Zeta or Art Bell, not mazes interpreted to be binary or other code. Hoaxes hope to grab public attention by such gimmicks, and when revealed as hoaxes, cast aspersions on all circles. Legitimate circles have a resonance with other legitimate circles, like the cadence of a symphony, all building upon one another. In addition to laying down original hoaxes, the hoaxers employed in Wiltshire County in the UK have been assigned the task of ruining legitimate designs. A key indicator of sabotage is change after the creation date. Legitimate circle makers have no reason to delay, and their trademark is to create intricate circles over a broad area almost within seconds. Their design is in the computer, and it takes but the release of a switch to start the sequence, whereas hoaxes take time. An example of a sabotage is Silbury, where the hoaxers hope to enhance their reputation by claiming this large circle. Here the sabotage resorts to lines and mazes. Contrast this with the belated change to Tan Hill, where the original makers returned after aerial photos had been taken of their intended message to create a contrast to the hoaxers. Difference?